My name is Jordan and I am an ordinary boy. In high school, my biggest hobby was soccer. I was the main striker of the school soccer team, and I was always running and sweating on the field, chasing my dreams and glory. I remember vividly the day I first met Ashley. It was an important soccer game, and I was playing hard for the team. When I scored a beautiful long-range goal in the last minute of the game, the crowd erupted. My teammates rushed up to me, hugged me, and cheered my name. And at that moment, I saw her, Ashley, standing in the audience, her beautiful brown eyes sparkling with approval. At that moment, I felt as if time had stood still. When my eyes met hers, it was as if the whole world had disappeared and we were the only ones left. I didn't know who she was, but I knew that I wanted to know her, to understand her. The opportunity came quickly. A few days later, I ran into her in the library. I plucked up my courage, went up to her and introduced myself. To my surprise, we shared a common interest in literature and history. We talked for a long time, from Shakespeare to Abraham Lincoln, from ancient Rome to the Renaissance. I was fascinated by her knowledge and wisdom. We began to see each other more often, in the library, on the playground, in the classroom. We shared our favorite books, discussed important events in history, and thought about our future lives. Every time I talked to her, I felt immense joy and satisfaction. Finally, I summoned up the courage to invite her to the campus cafe for a date. That afternoon, I arrived at the cafe early and chose a seat by the window. My heart was pounding and my palms were sweating. When she appeared in the doorway, the sunlight was shining on her, making her look like an angel. We ordered coffee and cake and started talking. We talked about each other's families and what we wanted to do in the future. Ashley said she wanted to be a writer and touch the world with her words. I said that I wanted to develop in soccer, but I also wanted to learn more and become a better person. That day, we talked until the cafe closed. As I was walking her home, our hands touched inadvertently. At that moment, I felt an unprecedented stirring. I knew that I had fallen hopelessly in love with her. Since then, we have been in a wonderful relationship. We participated in campus activities together, prepared for exams together, and thought about the future together. Her gentleness and kindness, her intelligence and beauty, all make me feel extremely lucky and happy. It was the most innocent and beautiful time of my life. We were like two vines, tightly entwined with each other, growing together. I know that no matter what challenges the future holds, as long as she is by my side, I will not be afraid. Youthful encounters have allowed me to meet the most important people in my life. That time will be engraved in my heart forever and become the most precious memories in my life. After high school, Ashley and I were lucky enough to get into the same college. We were so proud and happy for each other. College is a much bigger place than high school, and there are so many more opportunities for us to explore and experiment. I continued to pursue my dream of playing soccer by joining the college soccer team. I continued to improve my skills and while during training and matches. Every time I played on the field, I felt that I was one step closer to my dream. Ashley, on the other hand, has found her place in the literature club. Her talent for writing has been recognized by more people, and her works are often published in the school magazine and highly praised. We were busy with our own pursuits, but our hearts were always connected. We participated in campus activities together, studied in the library together, and walked on the playground together. Whenever I scored a goal on the field, I could always find her in the audience, and she always cheered for me and was proud of me. And when she won a prize in a literary competition, I was always the first to rush forward and give her a big hug. We had a lot of good times together. I remember one year, we participated in a performance at the school culture festival. I showed my ball skills on the stage, and she recited a poem she had written. At that moment, the lights on the stage hit us, the whole audience applauded, and I felt proud and happy like never before. Of course, college life is not all smooth sailing. Final exams always make us feel nervous and anxious. We often studied all night in the library, encouraging and supporting each other. The moment the results came out, we hugged each other tightly and felt happy for each other's efforts and gains. As time went on, my relationship with Ashley grew stronger. We started talking about the future and what we wanted to do after graduation. We made a pact to love and support each other wherever we went. College life allows us to grow and improve together. With each other's encouragement and support, I am getting better and better at soccer, and her riding talent is getting more and more recognition. We know that as long as we are together, there is no difficulty that cannot be overcome. Those youthful years are the colorful music we wrote together. Every note, every melody is full of our sweat and smiles. Those times spent in the library, playground, classroom have become the most valuable memories in our lives. Our college years have made our love stronger and more mature. We walked through the passion and confusion of youth together and witnessed each other's growth and transformation. After graduating from college, Ashley and I were faced with an important decision in our lives. After careful consideration, I decided to accept a job offer from a well-known company to start my career. Not only did the job pay well, but it was also related to my major and would allow me to utilize my strengths to the fullest, while Ashley chose to become a stay-at-home mom to take care of our family life with full dedication. Although our roles are different, our hearts are always connected. We started planning our wedding and hoped to officially start a new chapter of our lives in the presence of our friends and family. The wedding planning process was a lot of fun and a lot of hustle. We chose the venue together, designed the invitations together, negotiated the menu together, and Ashley took great care in every detail, wanting the wedding to be the perfect expression of our love. I, on the other hand, did my best to support her and share her stress and tasks. On the day of the wedding, I put on my suit and stood at the end of the church, waiting for my bride. The moment Ashley stepped into the church, my heart almost leapt out of my chest. Dressed in a white wedding dress, with a delicate veil on her head and flowers in her hand, she slowly walked towards me. At that moment, I felt more happy and touched than ever before. We read our vows in a holy wedding ceremony. I promised to love, respect, and support her, in sickness and in health, for better or for worse. She also promised that no matter how difficult life was, no matter how rough the road ahead, she would walk hand in hand with me and overcome all difficulties together. After the wedding, we walked to our new home amidst the blessings of our friends and family. It was a place full of love and warmth, and every corner was decorated with warmth and comfort. We started our new life, a new chapter of our life. Our married life is dull, but full of happiness and joy. Every morning, Ashley would prepare a delicious breakfast for me and give me a warm hug before I left the house. In the evenings, we share our day's experiences and discuss every aspect of our lives. On weekends, we go for walks in the park, watch movies at the cinema, or invite friends over. Our life is simple, but full of love and understanding. We support each other, encourage each other, and face every challenge in life together. We know that as long as we are together, there is no difficulty that we cannot overcome. Life after marriage is gradually getting into a dull track. I worked hard at my job, hoping to provide better material security for our lives. Ashley, on the other hand, did her best to take care of our family at home. However, as time went on, I began to notice a change in Ashley. She seemed to become increasingly dissatisfied with her life as a housewife. She began to complain about the monotony of housework and began to crave more social activities and work challenges. I can understand how she feels. After all, she used to be an excellent college student with her own dreams and pursuits. The long family life inevitably makes her feel that her talent has not been fully utilized. I support her as much as I can, encouraging her to go out and socialize more. I hope she can find her own interests and values outside the family. Sometimes we will go to some parties or activities together, and I hope to let her feel the colorfulness and richness of life. However, deep down, I had my own concerns. I was worried that Ashley would make impulsive decisions because she was unhappy with the way things were. I was worried that our marriage would suffer, and I was worried that our hard-earned family would fall apart. I started to work harder to provide a better life for Ashley. I hope that through my efforts, I can make her feel the warmth and happiness of a family so that she can let go of her obsession with work and enjoy our life. However, I also know that material satisfaction alone is not enough. What Ashley needs is spiritual satisfaction and a sense of fulfillment. She needs a stage to show her talent and an opportunity to realize her self-worth. I began to communicate with her more, trying to understand her true inner thoughts and needs. We discussed a lot about her future plans, her dreams and pursuits. I encouraged her to bravely pursue her dreams, and I promised to give her the greatest support and help in her pursuit of her dreams. Gradually, Ashley's mood began to improve. She began to try new hobbies and participate in volunteer activities in the community. She seemed to have found some new joys in life, and her attitude towards life became more positive and optimistic. But the worry in me didn't go away completely. I knew that this was only a temporary balance, and that Ashley's deepest desires were not being truly fulfilled. I knew that our marriage would face many more trials and challenges. But no matter what, I will continue to support her and love her. I believe that as long as we understand each other and tolerate each other, there is no difficulty that cannot be overcome. I believe that our love will help us get through every difficulty in life and meet every challenge. With my encouragement and support, Ashley began actively looking for job opportunities. She submitted many resumes and attended many interviews. Finally, she was able to find a job in marketing. Ashley's immediate supervisor was a man named Richard, who was well known in the industry for his elegant and modern work environment. From Ashley's description, I learned that Richard is an attractive man who not only has excellent business skills, but also has a great sense of humor. Ashley is very enthusiastic and excited about her new job. Every morning, she dresses up and looks her best. She is always excited to share with me her new experiences at work and how she uses her creativity and talent to contribute to the company's marketing strategy. I am so happy for her. I can see the long-lost sparkle in her eyes, and I can see that her life has become full and meaningful again. I believe that this job will not only satisfy her career aspirations, but also enable her to rediscover her self-worth and the direction of her life. However, as time went on, I began to feel a vague sense of unease as Ashley began to talk frequently about her boss, Richard, praising his talent, his charm, and even began to date him frequently outside of work. I could sense that Richard was paying too much attention to Ashley. He often invites Ashley to various activities on the pretext of work and even invites her to go on weekend trips together. Ashley, too, seemed to bask in Richard's attention and praise and always accepted his invitations. I began to feel worried. I worried that Ashley would fall for Richard's charms and forget who she was and what her responsibilities were. I was worried that this excessive attention would have a negative impact on our marriage and even lead to irreversible consequences. I tried to communicate my concerns to Ashley, telling her that I was upset about her relationship with Richard. But Ashley thought I was being paranoid, insisting that her relationship with Richard was purely work-related and that no boundaries had been crossed. I couldn't quite convince myself of that. My intuition told me that things were not as simple as Ashley claimed. Richard's interest in her seemed to go beyond the normal working relationship between a superior and a subordinate. Ashley, too, seemed to be so absorbed in Richard's attentions and compliments that she gradually lost sight of my feelings. I began to feel a gap between us. Our communication became less and less, and our relationship became colder and colder. I felt that the sweetness and understanding we once had was slipping away. I don't know how to handle this situation. I love Ashley too much to lose her. But at the same time, I couldn't tolerate her affair with Richard. I felt that our marriage was facing an unprecedented crisis. I began to fear, began to hesitate, began to doubt whether I can still hold this marriage. I didn't know where our future was going. All I knew was that I had to do something. I had to take action to save our relationship, to protect our family. As her work progressed, Ashley began to travel frequently. Every time she traveled, she was with Richard. Although I was uneasy, I couldn't stop her work schedule. I could only choose to trust her and wait for her. Every time Ashley comes back from a business trip, she brings me some local specialties and describes to me the results and achievements of her work. She seems to be full of enthusiasm and motivation for this job and has a clearer plan for her future career development. But I couldn't really be happy for her because I saw that her eyes had an extra touch of confusion that I had never seen before, and her smile had an extra touch of sweetness that I couldn't understand. She started to receive messages more often, and when I came near, she would quickly hide the screen of her cell phone. A sense of foreboding rose in my heart. I began to wonder if Ashley still loved me as much as she used to, and if she was still as loyal to our marriage as she used to be. But whenever I tried to ask, she always avoided the topic lightly. or simply avoided communicating with me by saying she was too busy at work. Once, Ashley was traveling with Richard for a week on business. Before the trip, I expressed my concern and anxiety once again. Ashley didn't think so. She told me not to worry, that it was just a working relationship between her and Richard, and that she would never do anything to jeopardize me or our marriage. I chose to believe her, and I chose to wait for her again. That week was the worst week of my life. Every day I imagined her with Richard. Every day I wondered what was going on between them. I wanted to call her countless times. I wanted to fly to her side countless times. But in the end, I chose restraint and trust. When Ashley finally came home, I hugged her as if I wanted to rub her into my blood. But when I gazed into her eyes, I realized there was an unmistakable hint of guilt and panic. She described the business trip to me lightly, but I could sense that she was deliberately withholding certain details. My heart went cold. I realized that what I feared most had happened. Ashley, my beloved wife, the one I vowed to protect for the rest of my life, had betrayed our marriage and our love. I felt so much anger, so much sadness, so much despair. I asked Ashley why she did this to me, why she destroyed our family, and with tears in her eyes, Ashley apologized, saying that she had made bad choices under the influence of alcohol and Richard, that she swore it was just an accident, and that she swore that she was still in love with me. But I couldn't believe her anymore, because I know that once betrayal happens, it can never be undone. Trust, like a fragile piece of paper, once broken, can never be restored. I felt like my world was falling apart. I felt like my life was going to ruin. I didn't know how I was going to cope with this betrayal. I didn't know how I was going to rebuild our marriage. The only thing I know is that our once pure and beautiful love has been tarnished forever. The only thing I could do was to try to find a glimmer of hope in the wreckage. But I wasn't sure if I had the courage and strength to do so. Since the business trip, my relationship with Ashley had become increasingly strained. Despite Ashley's repeated assurances that it was just an accident, and despite her constant expressions of apology and love, I could not find peace in my heart. The shadow of betrayal, like an invisible hand, tightened around my throat, making me feel suffocated and desperate. I became sensitive and paranoid. I started checking Ashley's cell phone constantly, trying to find clues about what was going on between her and Richard, and Ashley took offense to this, thinking I was invading her privacy and not trusting her. We started arguing a lot and started blaming and hurting each other. I knew that our marriage was on a dangerous edge, but there was nothing I could do to fix it. I felt that the gulf between Ashley and I was growing deeper and deeper, and that the sweetness and understanding we once had was disappearing little by little. Finally, one day, I stumbled upon Ashley and Richard's chat logs. It was a moment I'll never forget. When I opened Ashley's computer, a chat window appeared in front of my eyes. I saw that Ashley and Richard were using intimate terms of endearment and reminiscing about their business trips together. My heart was completely broken. Shock and pain flooded my heart like a tidal wave, drowning me in an instant. I couldn't believe that my favorite person, the person I swore to protect for the rest of my life, would betray me so completely. I can't believe that after all we've been through together, she chose another man. I felt so confused and disillusioned. I asked Ashley why she was doing this to me, and she cried and apologized again, saying that there was nothing between her and Richard, that it was just a misunderstanding. But I couldn't believe her anymore, because those chat logs, those intimate words, have become the hard evidence of her betrayal. I began to question our relationship deeply. I began to wonder if Ashley ever really loved me. I began to wonder if our marriage had been a mistake from the beginning. I felt like my whole life had become one big lie, and I felt like my whole world was falling apart. I couldn't face Ashley. I couldn't face this family. I chose to run away. I chose to leave. I started spending more nights out. I started using alcohol to numb myself. I knew it would only make things worse, but I couldn't help myself. Because every time I saw Ashley, every time I remembered those chat logs, my heart would be torn apart again. My soul would be stabbed again. I began to lose my courage and hope in life. I began to question the meaning of life and the true meaning of love. I felt that my whole life had lost its direction, and I felt that my whole future had become bleak. I knew that I had to make a choice. I knew that I had to find a way to face this harsh reality, but I don't know if I have the courage to believe or the strength to rebuild. The trauma of betrayal, like a sharp knife, left a wound in my heart that will never heal, and I can only struggle to find the meaning of existence in the bloody wounds. After a period of avoidance and pain, I finally realized that I had to face this harsh reality head-on. I must have the courage to have an honest conversation with Ashley, because only then can we truly solve our problems and make the right choices for our future. I asked Ashley to talk to me at home. As she sat in front of me, I could see the apprehension and guilt in her eyes. I took a deep breath and calmly asked her what had happened between her and Richard and whether she still had faith in our marriage. Ashley was silent for a long time and then finally began her confession. She told me that she did have sex with Richard on that business trip. She said it was a mistake, a bad decision made under the influence of alcohol and temptation. She said she never meant to hurt me, never meant to betray our marriage. She said that she still loved me and hoped that I could forgive her and that we could start over. Ashley's words cut into my heart like a sharp knife. Even though I had already had a feeling about it, when the truth was revealed, I was still overwhelmed with shock and pain. I felt my heart dripping blood. I felt my world collapsing. I couldn't imagine that my favorite person would betray me in such a way. I asked Ashley if she ever really loved me, and with tears in her eyes, Ashley said that she had always loved me and never changed. But I couldn't believe her anymore. Because in my opinion, true love doesn't betray. True love doesn't give in to temptation. I told Ashley that I couldn't forgive her, that I couldn't continue the marriage with her. The betrayal had created an unbridgeable gap between us. Trust has been completely shattered in this storm. And without trust, how can a marriage be sustained? Ashley begged me to give her a chance to start over, to not give up on our love. But I knew that once the betrayal happened, there was no going back. Those beautiful memories, those sweet moments, have been tarnished forever. And I, too, have lost the courage and strength to continue to insist. After much agonizing, I finally made a decision. I decided to end the marriage and let Ashley go. It was a hard decision, one that cut me to the core, but I knew it was my only choice. Because I couldn't spend the rest of my life with someone who had betrayed me, and I couldn't continue to be hurt in a marriage that was already broken. We started working on the divorce. During the process, we both tried to remain rational and calm, trying not to let our emotions cloud our judgment. We calmly discussed the division of property and calmly arranged the details of our future lives. But deep down, I know that we are all suffering a great deal of pain. Because after all, this is a relationship that we once devoted ourselves to, a marriage that we once vowed to protect for the rest of our lives. The divorce process was like a long goodbye. We signed the papers in tears and exchanged final hugs in silence. As I watched Ashley's back, I felt that a part of my soul was leaving with her. I knew that from now on, I would start a whole new life. A life without Ashley, without the shadow of betrayal. It wasn't the future I had envisioned, but it was a reality I had to accept. In pain, I chose to let go. But I know, my heart will always be engraved with this bitter feelings. And I, too, will learn how to love myself again and how to embrace life again in the midst of the trauma. After my divorce, I began the difficult path of self-healing. I know that it takes time, courage, and perseverance to recover from this emotional trauma. I had to learn how to face the world independently and how to find the meaning and direction of life again. The first thing I did was to move out of the home I used to share with Ashley. That home held so many of our memories and witnessed the breakup of our marriage. Every time I was in it, I felt suffocated and miserable. I needed a new environment, a place where I could start over. I found a small apartment on the other side of town. It was simple, but it gave me a sense of peace. I began to redecorate the home, to arrange every corner to my liking. Gradually, this home began to take on my flavor and became a haven for me. I went back to work. Work became an escape from my pain and a way to rebuild my self-confidence. I started to work harder and concentrate more. I wanted to prove my worth and regain my dignity through my own efforts. Gradually, I achieved good results at work and was recognized by my colleagues and supervisors. This made me feel that I am not useless and I still have the ability to control my own life. I also started to develop my hobbies again. I signed up for a fitness class and started exercising regularly. Exercise made me feel good physically and mentally and gave me an outlet for my emotions. I started reading and learning to paint. These hobbies filled my empty heart and gave me the motivation to move forward. In the process, I also began to reflect on myself and our marriage. I began to realize that there were many problems between Ashley and me. There was a lack of communication, a lack of understanding, and a lack of mutual growth. We have different pursuits and different values. Perhaps we were not the most suitable partners from the very beginning. This reflection has given me a new perspective on the marriage. It made me realize that the breakdown of the marriage was not entirely Ashley's or my fault. It was our joint responsibility, the result of our failure to manage the relationship properly. This realization brought me peace of mind. I began to learn to forgive and let go. Of course, the recovery process is not easy. Sometimes, in the quiet of the night, I would think of Ashley and the sweet times we used to have and the promises we made. At such times, sadness would come again and tears would fall again. But I know that this is a process I must go through, because only by completely mourning, completely letting go, I can really get out of the past, embrace the future. Gradually, I began to feel that my heart was healing little by little. I began to enjoy life again and feel the warmth of the sun again. I began to have more contact with my friends and to participate in various social activities. I knew that I was slowly getting out of the darkness and moving towards a new life. The process was long and arduous, but I know that this is the metamorphosis I must go through, because only through the pain, through the struggle, I can really grow, really strong. The divorce ended my marriage, but it has also opened a new chapter in my life. In this chapter, I will learn how to love myself and how to face the world independently and strongly. In the process of rebuilding my life, I have received great support from my family and friends. They are my most solid backing and my warmest shelter. Whenever I felt desperate and helpless, they always gave me encouragement and comfort. Whenever I feel lost and uncertain, they always give me guidance and advice. My parents, although shocked and heartbroken by my divorce, never blamed me or gave up on me. They often came to visit me and brought me the warmth of home. They listened to me patiently and provided me with emotional support. They told me that no matter what happened, I would always be their son and they would always love and support me. My friends, too, have been a great help to me. They often ask me out to parties and take me to try new things. They introduced me to new people and helped me expand my social circle. They spent many difficult nights with me and shared their life experiences with me. They made me feel that I was not alone, that I still had people who cared about me. With their support, I gradually found myself. I began to recognize myself and accept myself for who I am. I began to realize that I am not a failure. I just experienced a setback in my life. This setback, although it made me suffer, but it also made me grow. It taught me many valuable life lessons. I began to reflect on the failure of my marriage and tried to learn from it. I realized that there was a lack of effective communication between Ashley and me. We often avoided problems and didn't want to face conflicts directly. We didn't really understand each other's needs and feelings and didn't learn to think differently. This lack of communication has caused our relationship to become more and more distant and our marriage to gradually break up. I also realized that we were not growing together. We each had different pursuits and ideals, but we didn't make an effort to harmonize and integrate them. We didn't make the necessary compromises and changes for our common future. We were like two parallel lines, drifting apart and eventually separating. These reflections have given me a new perspective on relationships. I began to learn how to express myself better and how to listen to others better. I began to learn how to handle conflicts and how to seek consensus. I also began to think about what kind of partnership I wanted and what kind of love is healthy and lasting. It has been a long and difficult process, but through continuous reflection and learning, I feel that I am growing little by little. I began to have the courage to face the past and the confidence to embrace the future. I know that this failed marriage has become a valuable lesson in my life. It has made me more mature, wiser, and clearer about what I want. Now, I am ready to start a new chapter in my life. I know that I can't predict what will happen in the future, but I have confidence in my ability to face any challenge. Because along the way, I have learned how to love myself, how to be independent and strong. I believe that as long as I keep my hope, my courage, and my love for life, I will find my own happiness. No matter how twisted the road ahead, no matter how ill-fated my destiny is, I will bravely move forward because I know that the sunshine always comes after the storm. Divorce has ended my marriage, but it has also opened up a whole new chapter in my life. In this new chapter, I will take the lessons of the past and the blessings of my family and friends and continue my journey with courage and hope. I believe that the best is still waiting ahead. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.